Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about AI, but with a very specific case. Now, I've seen a lot of, I don't want to call it hysteria about AI because a lot of the concerns I'm seeing, frankly, are justified in my opinion, and AI does scare me in multiple ways. Today's situation is one of the ways in which it scares me. That being said, the other thing that scares me is I already have seen cases where random content creators, influencers, celebrities, whoever is in the public sphere, honestly, even people who don't have like this massive following, have been used using AI and their face has been put on like porn and shit like that. Just very alarming things overall. And I feel like a lot of people don't have very good media literacy, myself included. I can't always tell what's AI immediately. So that also scares me because it's like I spend so much time on the internet, and if I can't tell, I'm wondering, people who spend less time on the internet, how they're gonna do that. And people who also don't have the trained eye, I think a lot of us have, to even just see Photoshop and stuff like that. So with all that said, let us start our Monday being fully alarmed. Okay, so here's a little background. A massive controversy erupted when a Taiwanese American model claimed that a renowned designer digitally altered her picture on a runway to make her look white. The model, Shireen Wu, in a TikTok video talked about the incident and said the matter is extremely dehumanizing. The video of the model has gone viral and garnered more than 1 million views in the last week. What was the entire matter? Wu claims designer Michael Costello, who has a reputation for working with elite models like Celine Dion, Jennifer Lopez, and Beyonce, posted a photo from a recent fashion show in Los Angeles on his Instagram. Wu is pictured in the picture sporting the stylish black ball gown she debuted on the runway, but her face has been photoshopped to make her appear white. Further, in a statement posted on Instagram by Costello, which was removed within 24 hours, the designer refused the allegations of altering the picture of Wu. He further added the picture was sent to him as quote-unquote fan art from an unspecified source, yet he acknowledged responsibility for sharing it. We're gonna look at the TikToks that Shireen Wu posted herself because that really does display more of the story. I did want to give you a tiny bit of background just so you're not thrown into the deep end. This is what worries me as well, is that I don't feel like people know where to draw the line, right? Because for me, it would be inconceivable to pick a model. Now, Shireen Wu's specific situation is a little bit more complex. We'll get into it. She wasn't the first pick model, right? But you still did pick her as a model to walk in the dress, apparently just because the dress was her size. She was not the first pick, okay, but still you did pick someone, and therefore you can't just be like, oh yeah, I picked you, but you're literally just a body wearing the thing. And after you do the runway, the catwalk, whatever, I'm just gonna change your entire appearance, like your face. That to me is surreal. And I don't even know how anyone makes those types of decisions and doesn't see just the PR nightmare. And it always returns to this because I don't expect people to have much of a moral compass, much of an ethical compass. Just like the PR aspect is what's crazy to me, is like, this is your whole ass job. Your reputation is a big part of what makes you money or what can make you lose money. So you'd think that people would think, how is this going to come off to the masses? Not great, honestly. Anyway, let's look at the TikToks. Okay, so this TikTok is before she goes on the runway. So this is before any of the chaos that ensued, but I figured it would be useful to just see what that was like. Now she talks about her experience.
I recently walked through Michael Costello, but that's not me who he posted on his story. Michael's a big designer with 1.7 million followers. Editing my face and removing my race is completely disrespectful. He claims he casted me because he likes me, but I wasn't even on his official list. The only reason why I walked for him last minute was because a model was missing and I could fit into her dress. There's nothing he can do about the artist who sends him photos, so essentially he's blaming the photographer. I asked the photographer, he did not edit the photos that the designer posted. That makes sense because this is the photo he posted on his story. On call, he tells me that the designer has been deleting his messages on Instagram, unsending them, so it looks like the photographer has a one-sided conversation with the designer. A model close to Michael offered to ask him what happened. The model tells him that Michael says it's fan art. Michael has told 3 different people 3 different stories. He then removed my image without an apology, then posted AI art, and then shared profiles of AI models as if to imply that everyone's doing this so I shouldn't be angry or I am replaceable. I understand as a model I am replaceable, but I don't get paid to do these shows. While I don't get paid, there's tacit understanding that I'm doing this for exposure and for photographs. By not using my face, he's taking advantage of models without the same influence as he does. This isn't the first time that Michael has done something like this. In this article by The Cut, Claire Lampin does a really good job explaining all the controversy he's gone into. You can get a taste of Michael's character by reading these article titles: racist rumors, calling someone an N-word, body shaming, and even sexual harassment. But in the end, I'm just another disgruntled model who doesn't have much of a reach. Perhaps I'm making a mountain out of a molehill and this will ruin my modeling career, but I do believe this is something I should stand up for.
So there was a lot there to go over. First of all, just so I get this out of the way, if you guys want me to discuss Michael Costello's prior controversies, we can get into that. I'm not going to get into that right now, but if you want that, let me know. Aside from this, it's really insane to me, the blame game that was played here of her messaging Costello being like, oh, like basically this is not my fault, okay. And then her messaging the photographer, and the photographer also being like, yeah, there's shady behavior here. So really, by denying anything, Michael Costello really put himself in a bad place, because had he just said, oh, I'm completely unaware of this, it must have been the photographer, fan edits, whatever, which also, like, why would you be posting fan edits on an official page that's followed by almost 2 million people? You'd think that there's nothing wrong with fan edits, but issues like this can come up where someone's whitewashed, where their faces are swapped out, like, it just seems a little bit too risky. But regardless, the fact that he was like, oh, it must be someone else and not me, really fucked him over, because had he not said that, had he just said, oh my God, I'm so sorry, let me fix this, blah, 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 none of this would have occurred. But the fact that she went and talked to the photographer really underlined that Costello must be up to some shit if he's unsending messages on Instagram. What are you trying to hide? And I can understand unsending because certain things out of context probably look worse than they are, or people can manipulate how the audience is going to receive whatever you've said. That being said, this has been mismanaged from the beginning to the end. So I also feel like no matter what was written in those messages, not many people would probably want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Even then, it's like, as a brand owner, as someone who was on Project Runway, I feel like you should know that regardless, it is still your responsibility. Like, what you post is your responsibility, and whether person A, B, or C sent it to you does not matter. It's still your brand. How are you really going to say that it almost has nothing to do with you? It's still your clothing. Like, if you're not in charge of this, who is?
This is a super valid question. No, I did not know about his past before walking for him. Some designers have a predetermined list to let you know if you're walking the day of, but some just pick models on site a few hours before the show. Michael had a predetermined list that I wasn't on. Ours just have people show up and wait in a general area for 4 or more hours just to see if any designers want to use them last minute. Michael showed up late, so I didn't know I was walking for him until 2 hours before showtime. The models backstage were really excited to walk for him and said that he was a good person, so I had no reason not to trust them. My initial search of Michael Costello just showed me his shop, his Instagram, and the fact that he was an American designer. It wasn't until after I posted my Instagram story that a bunch of people started sending me articles of past controversies that he's been in. I wish by sharing my experience I can inform people of Michael's past that I wish I knew beforehand. I do not condone any of his actions. I would have not walked for him if I knew.
So I also think this is interesting because people were kind of rushing to blame Shireen Wu for quote unquote wanting to walk for him in the first place, which I don't really think it qualifies as wanting to walk for someone if you wait in the waiting room extra hours to see if designers need a last minute person. I really do think, like she said, it's about exposure. That being said, I know a lot of designers, like not personally, but I know of a lot of designers, and there's a lot of controversy I don't know about, mainly because I think the majority of people who are interested, at least for me, I go looking at their fashion and I don't often think of looking further, and perhaps that's my mistake, but I really do go to look at the clothing, to look at their archives. I don't look up their controversies, and if they didn't come up immediately, it probably wouldn't come to mind for me to look. So I don't really think there's anything to blame her for here. I also feel like if you're walking for someone last minute to get exposure, I would posit that a lot of these designers are shitty and have been in controversies. So I feel like if she were to find out, it would also be a question of, How long ago did a thing happen? How serious was the thing? Has the person made, changes to show that they are working on not doing the thing again? Like it's a more complicated question than just finding out someone's in a controversy and being like, okay, I'm not gonna walk, which again, also, they're not paid to walk, which is something I didn't know. I mean, I'm sure plenty of models are, but in this particular case, she wasn't paid to walk. So this was really an exposure. This was like a physical billboard of like, hey, hire me. So again, it's also the question of who can afford to say no to big names in the industry. Do you know what I mean? So I think it is a complicated situation to be in. Regardless, she didn't know. Honestly, I didn't know either, but that's also because I do not look at Michael Costello anything.
He's blocked me on Instagram, but someone was kind enough to send this from his story.
Second, you don't know the song either? So guys, I just want to sit here and apologize, like from the bottom of my heart. I'm really, really shocked and mortified, and honestly, just don't know what to say to you guys, that two of my really close friends that I work with every single day, Tanya and Shishi, do not know the Renaissance track. Like 6 songs.
Excuse me.
No, come on, give me one
maybe
lyric.
I know.
Give me a lyric for this next song.
Energy.
I'm sorry. I love them, but our working relationship must come to an end.
I might be deleted off TikTok, so just putting my news out there, hoping someone will see it.
So I do have to say, the whole little gimmick of pretending you're gonna apologize because you're in hot water for doing something fucked up and then turning it into a joke, I have not seen that end well for anyone. Even people that I've liked who have been in hot water, if they did that, that's almost an immediate admission of guilt for me. But aside from that, it's trashy. It's trashy behavior, because unless something is actually ridiculous, and obviously we won't all agree on what is actually ridiculous, but unless something really isn't serious. But here, when we're talking about whitewashing, AI, using the picture of someone's body and not their face, these are serious things, especially considering the world he lives in, which relies on photography and models. Acting all funny about it, I don't understand what you think is going to happen. Like, what they're gonna say, oh my God, you're so quirky. What did you think was gonna happen? Aside from that, also, the tokenizing of, oh yeah, I have 2 Asian, colleagues, friends, whatever, so I can't be racist. It's so transparent. The whole thing is so transparent, but I really do think the kick in the teeth is beginning it with an apology. That really shows that you give 0 fucks. You're willing to make fun of the situation to this extent, to this degree. So I don't know if anyone in the industry is going to personally talk to him or say anything. Probably not. I don't have high expectations or high hopes there. But you guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Honestly, I really do think that if this is the direction we're going in, first of all, models should be compensated for walking end of. But aside from that, I really do think we need to get signed release forms, because some people, so long as they're getting paid, might be entirely fine with their face or their body or something being replaced via AI. I'm sure there are people like that. Whereas I'm sure there are other people who just are not okay with that at all, but we need to make some kind of discerning paperwork or some discerning process of who is okay with that and not, because I can only imagine that it would feel really displacing and invasive to just have your body thrown out there, but it's not your face. I don't know. Very weirded out by that. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.